Hey guys, welcome back to Waters Family Homestead. All right, look at that. That thing is about softball size. And there is a dozen more in there, anywhere from thumbnail, another one that's about baseball size. There's quite a few in there. Let's see if I can find. Look at there. There's one about the size of a nickel. There's one right there. Look at that. That's a little bigger than a baseball. There's some little bitty ones right there. Anyway, I know there's another one. Over here. All right, I'm gonna walk around. I don't like to give up when I know there's another bigger one in there. There's a bunch of little bitty ones, but let's see. Here, that's about the size of a golf ball. About the size of a dime. So a bunch of them growing at different stages. And still a lot of blooms. So I hope they grow to maturity and I can get some watermelons. So the tomato plants are still blooming. And the first couple tomatoes, this one and one over there, is all funky shaped. But the rest of them look to be pretty normal. So that one's all right. See there? There's another one over there. This is one of the funky ones. And then a couple normal ones on each side. But I've looked through there and there's a few small ones mixed in there too. So I've got a zucchini. That's almost ready to pick right there, and another one on the other side of it. Another one growing there. Several more. That one right there will probably be the next one after that first one I showed you. So, and a bunch of little baby squash. But that's good. I still haven't figured out why those plants are so yellow. We have been getting a lot of rain and I still water, so I came out yesterday. I had my granddaughters all weekend. So that was a handful. But it's all right. I love every second of it. So I planted some yellow summer squash in there, and one in the middle of the green beans because they seem to be wanting to grow up instead of around, so I planted one there. And then I came back here to the other two little, this is where the radish were. I planted a green summer squash here. It looks like a zucchini, but the packet said summer squash, and I planted another one there. And then the corn is doing really well. Most of it is tasseled. It maybe all, I don't know. And some of them has corn starting on it. Remember, y'all, I planted later than most people in the South, so people are harvesting some of their stuff already, and mine is just now starting to get ready. But I went to bed, I think Friday, and I didn't see any green beans on these green bean plants. And then I came out Saturday, and boom, I got little green beans hanging all over the place. And they were 3-4 inches long. So it's just now starting to put a lot of green beans on. There's a bunch on this plant here. There's some here. Oop. There's a bunch hanging off of this one. It's still trying to run way out. I've been taking the vines and run them in. Make them wrap around each other. That one and this one curled way back out toward the framing of the carport enclosure. So, but there's green beans hanging off of just about all of them, a bunch of them. So I'm sure there's a bunch more right there. There's going to be green beans here for long. I see a lot more down at the bottom. But I do have some corn growing. See the silk there and the silk there. And there's a lot more mixed in. So I'm going to have some corn. Wow, those are laid over right there. I don't know why. We got about a 1/2 inch of rain this morning, all through church. And like I say, this tomato plant is doing really well. I see a stink bug in there, but it looks very healthy. There's 6 of them, I think, in that bed. But either way, and there's some more corn that's that's got the hair coming out. So it's gonna have some corn on it, and I'm pleased with that. I still got corn in the freezer from last year, but look at that. That corn is taller than the edge of the carport enclosure. That's 10 foot. Now I know it's a foot raised bed, but the bed ain't completely full either. That corn is tall, y'all. I mean, way up there. Ain't no way I could reach that. And that back there the same way, just about it. So, I'm very well pleased with my garden this year with the raised beds. And I do plan on doing some more. I'm going to move the grow bags and finish the landscape fabric and staple it down. And I want to make a run of landscape fabric all the way around the edge of it, about 3 feet, maybe 4, so that I don't have to weed eat up against, close to it. And I'm going to overlap what landscape fabric is there with the new stuff and try to help control the weeds. I do have a few growing around the bottom edge that I need to pull, but so I've already got the landscape fabric in. I've already got the other new raised beds in, and I did not buy a 4x8 this time. I bought 3x8 this time, a foot tall, same height. Instead of 4 foot deep, I went 3, because I'm planning on putting 1 across the back there and 2 down the middle here. And that'll leave me plenty of room to walk between them, but I'll have to move most of the grow bags, which is okay. So kind of rearrange them a little bit. But like when the corn's done, I'll pull it and probably replant something else in that spot. Just like I've replanted 3 more yellow squash and 2 more zucchini. Hopefully be able to continue with the very low weed pressure and be able to get some food, to harvest and put up. So still haven't done anything with the dill. It's gotten really, really big. It's probably getting ready to go to seed, I would think, with this stuff here. But I don't know. I'm not the... I don't know. I just planted it because I'd never grown any before. And it looks pretty good. I dug down beside one of the larger carrots just a little bit, and I know there's carrots growing. So they can't be 10 inches long. The bed's not but 6 inches deep. But I'm going to let them grow a while before I pull any. So I'm really pleased with it. And I'm going to get those other beds put together as soon as time and weather allows, and get this other landscape fabric done. And then I've got to buy more soil. Now I'm doing 3 beds. I bought 4. My daughter wanted one, so I'm giving her one. But then I'm going to have to go buy another, pretty much another truckload of soil, and come out and fill it up. And I'll probably take a shovel in my wagon and go get some of my compost pile and mix that in a little bit better than I did when I filled these up. So that way I'll have some nitrogen-rich soil in it instead of just at the bottom. But either way, that's the idea. All right, let's go check on the chickens. All right, I put you on a tripod and we'll just stand you there for a minute. I'm gonna grab a scoop of scratch feed and give it to the chickens. I did give them one much earlier this afternoon, but I give them a full cup of scratch, mostly wheat berries and cut up corn. I give them I don't have a microphone on, so I'm having to stay close to the phone, but let's see if we can, let me turn this around. See if we can go in here and take a look at the baby chicks. They're still 8, thank goodness. I only lost those 2 to the snake. I think that's a little bit strange, but it happened. Oh my goodness. All right. You can count all 8 of them right there if you froze your screen. But they're doing well. I've got them locked in there with Sue. There's no need to let Sue run around out here when he can't get to any ladies. So I just leave him in there with the babies, and he does really well with them. And I've got Junior locked in here with the female turkey that is setting, just because he doesn't have any females to prance around for. But they are both doing really well. I will be changing this feeder out from layer pellets to scratch feed when those baby chicks are about ready to hatch, and I'll lower it down to where it's not so close to the ground, so it'll be easy for the baby chicks to get to, just like I did on the other side. I have not gathered the eggs today. Look at this. 3 nesting boxes. And there's 2 hens in that nesting box right there. Now, it is a little larger than the green, not much. There's 2 hens in there, and I guarantee you there's plenty of eggs up under the roll down part in the other 2. Old turkey just stays up on the roost most of the time. He don't come down much. Well, I know it gets out of focus when I get off the fence. But that's just, chickens are crazy, y'all. I don't see any on the ground today, which is a good thing. I'm not collecting the eggs early. Yesterday, the granddaughters and I came out about 7:30 and gathered the eggs. And then, you know, it doesn't get dark till 8:30, 8:45. Well, I had 2 more hens lay an egg before dark. So we came down here and got the other 2 eggs. I see one out there on the ground under the peach tree. So This just doesn't make a lot of sense for me to collect the eggs and then have to come back and do it again. So, lordy, lordy, lordy. All right, I'm gonna have to pause y'all for it. Well, let's see. Why in the world they want to lay an egg up under there? I don't know. I usually have one or two on the ground inside the pen up there. And we picked a bunch of blueberries yesterday that were ready. And I've got a few more today that are ready. Probably a dozen or two. I'll pick those when I come down and gather the eggs. I'm gonna put this egg in here with the rest of them. We'll take a look and see how many. Well, nope, there is one on the ground over there. So let me see. All right. I know I'm moving y'all around a lot. Let's see. Let's see how many eggs are in there. I'm gonna put this one in and roll that one forward. 1, 2, 3. There was already 7 in here. I added the 8th one. There's 1 in there. And I guarantee you, there's 8 to 10 up under those 2 hens. And if they're both trying to start setting, I don't have a problem with that if they want to set. But they don't have to do it together. They're crazy. They are crazy. All right. Well, main thing is my sweet little hen. She still don't like to be picked up, but she don't fuss if I actually pick her up. But she doesn't. Tries to run from me. So, which Sue walks away from you, but main reason for doing the video today was just to show y'all the garden. Look, it's just them. Look how clean that water is and how dirty that water is back yonder, which is the bottom that's dirty. You know, it settles, but this side's pretty clean. But she's teaching them. Look at her raking it out on the ground. There's a bunch all over the ground. But hopefully that's teaching the baby chicks. So if they get to where they've got, you know, they rake it out and waste it, I'll put that hardware cloth over their feeder so they can't rake it out. They can only peck and get it. And break them of that habit. I've learned how to break that habit. Look at them. Both of them got up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 7 that I can see. They don't tell how many's up under the front part. That's them right there. Both getting up. A lot of people say hens making a noise is when they're laying their egg. What I've found is the hen goes to making all that noise after they lay their egg. But anyway, I've got to fill Sparky's feeder up today. It's down to probably 3 or 4 inches deep in the very bottom of it. Let me flip this back around. So if I aim it up a little bit, maybe y'all will get my whole head instead of just part of it. But anywho, it's been a good weekend. I enjoyed it with my granddaughters. I've got 5 grandkids, and those are the only 2 granddaughters. And the older one is really no problem at all as far as spending the night with Pawpaw. But the next to the oldest one, which she's old enough to, you know, not want to go home at 11 o'clock at night, but she did. And I had to tell her, Papa ain't getting on the road at 11:30 at night to drive you home and get back home by 1 o'clock in the morning. That ain't gonna happen. You know, drive there, get ready, drive there, then come back. No. So I said, I'm sorry, you need to go to bed. You're supposed to have been asleep already. I told him to go to sleep at 10. So she kind of got upset and started doing the crocodile tears. And I said, well, you can cry yourself to sleep. I'm going to bed. And I did. Tough love on that one. But up, and the tom turkey came down. Let's see. Those hens are still arguing about having to get out of that nest, I think. But all right, so you see I've got to pick blueberries. I walked and checked the scuppling vine earlier today. There's little bitty baby scupplings all over that thing. I don't know how many. This will be the first year it produces since I've, you know, cut it back and cleared that property back there and ran it around this fence. So we'll see how that turns out. But it still has some on there. I've looked for baby apples because we did have some blooms on that tree back here in the corner. And I don't see any baby apples. And that peach tree right here, this one, is one that broke, and then I cut it off at the ground. Or one that was growing crooked and then I cut off. But one of them broke and one of them didn't. But either way, that's all new growth this year. So there's no peaches on it. And I'll trim it back this year too. I walked around and checked the fig tree. The fig tree is loaded with little figs. And that apple tree over on this corner is no apples on it whatsoever. And neither does this one that's in the chicken pen. No apples. And this year, this blueberry bush did not grow any blueberries. The chickens just pecked them if they got them, and I never saw them. But I got a lot of whey. No, it's not whey. The stuff, the shells from wheat when you package wheat. Anyway, in with this bag of scratch. And the chickens don't want it. It just lays there on the ground, but they eat the wheat and they eat the corn. So I don't know why, but it had a lot of that in there this time. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna get off here. I'm not gonna get out. I need to cut grass. I don't know if y'all noticed anywhere on the video, but I do need to cut grass. It has not been a week yet, but it's plenty tall enough. But I just have not been able to get it done. It rains when I'm off. So maybe one day this week after work, if it hadn't rained, I'll be able to get on the mower and get some grass cut. And I need to, one of my hens is limping, another one. I need to go back into the woods and cut the range and the course and all also. But there's always something to do on a little homestead, and I know mine's small, but there are people that farm a lot less smaller piece of property. Usually they're not by themselves, or if they're doing it by themselves, that's their only job. They're not working 40 plus hours a week and then turn around and trying to homestead on top of that. So I don't know, it's hard. And I watch, you know, I follow along with the Macs, and the Macs are as self-sufficient a channel as I've seen anywhere. They raise meat and fruits and vegetables and do a dang fine job of it. But, you know, you got 6 kids and a husband and wife. And the wife stays home and does a lot of the gardening and stuff. He does a lot too. Now, don't get me wrong. They're raising cows and goats and pigs and sheep. And I don't know if they've got goats, but they've got sheep and they've got pigs and they got cows. And they plant a lot of food, and they do very well at preserving it. So I'm a long ways from that, but I'm growing, and I appreciate y'all going along for the ride. Remember what I've always told you. Jesus Christ loves you, and so do I. Y'all be safe and be prepared.